Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Far Horizon. As we begin tonight's episode, let us recap a bit about everything that has, well, not everything, but at least what we can anyway, that has transpired now many weeks ago. Our illustrious group of adventurers who managed to repair, commandeer, and now crew an airship of some note have set sail through the skies, leaving their homeland behind. The Imperium was not a great place, to be perfectly honest. The Imperium was fraught with many issues that several of our companions found themselves suffering through tremendously. And as they ventured their way to the decision to leave their homeland behind, it became very apparent that what they were seeking was not just a new place to call home, but a journey that they needed to take for themselves. Something that could take them away from the various troubles and in some cases nightmares that they had endured for so long. Each of them, of course, had their own reasons for partaking of this journey, but it was necessary. There were loved ones lost. There were friendships broken. There was pain. Quite a lot of it, actually. But in the end, everyone came to the same conclusion. They needed to leave the Imperium. They learned through this airship that an entire world exists outside of the Imperium. Far off, reachable, in fact, only by airship, or at least for them anyway. And when that realization that they could venture there came to fruition, they made the decision to go. They took some folk with them, some friends that they had made along the way, people that had suffered as well, or that they had attachments to, or that needed to depart just as much as they did. And as they set sail through the skies, knowing troubles that they would be leaving behind, the adversaries that knew of their existence and of the existence of the airship and whatever troubles they were brewing within the Imperium, as they left all of that behind, they didn't know what lay in wait in front of them. Scary, to be sure, but each of them needed to face it. As you all set sail, perhaps only a few days in, the Imperium no longer on the horizon behind you, certainly gone, where all you could see is the skies above, the tumultuous seas below, and the notion of the direction that you go. Invisible ley lines carrying you aloft, the magic of the ship allowing you to traverse that. You awoke one morning to find that one of your number was gone. Young Violet, who perhaps more than anyone had the most difficulties with everything that had transpired in the months previous. She disappeared. The crew of the night shift couldn't say anything about seeing where she went. And the only indication that you have that something wasn't evil about her departure was a simple note. All it said was, "I'm sorry," and signed with Violet's customary V. Her Aunt Rin was fairly tight-lipped, but seemed to know about the departure. Wouldn't say much when interrogated about it, or when asked. She just said Violet had to go. And all she could say was she was sorry. That may not necessarily sit well with the rest of you, but it's unfortunately what you have to deal with at the moment. The days turned into weeks, and from what your navigator, Oriana, is able to tell, based on the maps that you already had, and information that Sisk is able to provide periodically, when looking at the maps anyway, you seem to be nearing your potential destination. Go ahead. As you get closer, still not quite within sight just yet, but as you get closer to reaching Kuvalia, the place that Sisk has said you should probably go, I'm curious if you could each tell us a little bit about what the previous weeks have been like for your characters. After all, the journey has not been easy. You're still very fresh when it comes to your understanding of the airship and your role upon it. You're learning a lot on the go, and it's not without its difficulties. You've managed to get a few nights' rest here and there without having to fly, touching down on small islands that don't have civilization per se. They might have some interesting flora and fauna that live upon them, and perhaps the little bit of wild is appealing in some ways to each of you, something that perhaps you can touch on in your discussions. That's it. Other than that, the ship has had to be manned all day, all night. Thankfully, there's enough of you to be able to do that, and you have ample enough magic between yourselves and the other crew members to keep things alight. There's been a few storms, but relatively light, especially by comparison to that initial storm that you had flown through when you first set sail and aboard the airship still in the Imperium. But nothing quite that bad. But I'm curious, what's this journey done to you? What's it been like for each of you? Who would like to go first? I'm gonna call on somebody.
I'll do it.
All right.
Mira has found the journey to be freeing in a lot of ways, as she leaves a lot of the complications of life behind and can focus really on the work of trying to understand the ship and the engine. So I think she spent a lot of time in the engine room with Sisk and doing a lot of work trying to figure out how the engine works and And she has a particular affinity for the ship, and so she talks to it a lot and kind of sees it as another companion on the journey. So it's, in some ways, she feels herself get lighter, and she's able to leave some of the stuff behind. But she's still carrying a lot of the grief and the weight of all of the things that happened in the Imperium. So she really tries hard to fill her days with tasks and with the work of the ship. But she does also really enjoy the quiet of the night on deck. And I think, especially when Bren takes a night shift at the helm, she goes and keeps him company for a while and might bring him a cup of tea, or just kind of share stories with him, and or just sit in silence and share space with Bren and enjoy the quiet after the sun's set, and they're just kind of in the air together.
I'll go after that. Bryn has taken on a lot of the tasks on the ship. He's really taking the title of captain to heart, and he sees that everyone's well-being and, you know, the airship being in the best shape, like that. That's his primary focus. Everything that he would do on the farm, he's now translating it over to the daily routines of the airship. And it's kind of gotten to a point to where he's almost overexerting himself. So those times where Mira, kind of checks on him during the night, I think that's his form of knowing that he's appreciated, right? And he also knows that translates through the rest of the crew. But he's very focused on making sure that he gets these routines down, that they become second nature, like the task that he had on the farm, working close with Phelan and asking them all types of questions about sailing and what's this and what can we do about making sure that this doesn't break, and really leaving like the umbral engine and the arcanic engine to Sisk and Mira, because he trusts them. He's making sure that structurally everyone is fed, everyone is okay, and that the boat doesn't fall apart. And that's just been his deep focus, especially after realizing that Violet is left.
Sisk and Mira, I guess, have been having a great time. Because Sisk also, the further we get from the Imperium, the more free and just light and airy their steps are. Just everything about them feels better. And like, even with exhaustion from constantly running on the ship, basically, because we're skeleton crewing it and everything too. There's still an energy of freedom, excitement. So I think and Sisk loves spending time with Mira, and this is just like a big puzzle to solve. That's kind of the way that Sisk is coming at it. And there's also a sorrow with Violet being gone, but
Violet being gone, actually, that brings up a good point. Does create more challenge. That's one less crew aboard.
Hey, Tig and I didn't mention, we've become a well-oiled machine. We are of one mind. There's a bit of a connection psychically now there. But
I mean, Tig was already a well-oiled machine, but
hey, now together I'm
right.
also
Yes.
well-oiled. I'm full of grease.
Yes.
But you're also a machine.
Yeah. And with Tig being a little bit bigger now too, maybe they're doing more physical activities than they would have normal.
Absolutely. I think Tig has taken kind of a different role on board the ship. Before, Tig was so very focused on like cleaning things, basically, because Tig didn't have the capacity to do much in the way of repair when the ship had crashed, and so he was more like almost like a caretaker for the bodies of the previous crew and for the ship itself in some ways. And I think now Tig is a lot more functional, I guess is the best way to describe it. He relies tremendously on Sisk, of course, but he seems to be learning constantly. And there are times when one of you will be working on the ship in some capacity or other, and you'll need something, and Tig is right there, and he hands that something to you. And so I think Tig has also grown just as much as Sisk has.
Yeah.
What's it been like for 80?
Well, 80 had been feeling exceptionally emotionally overwhelmed at the last time we saw her, both with her own things, and then in addition to that, the emotions of everybody else sort of coalescing, and it was very stressful. So much like everybody else, being on the ship and moving further away from the Imperium has been positive for her. Partly because she's kept herself very busy. She has spent a lot of time with Dove, and she sees him as a mentor. He's taught her a lot already, and it makes her feel especially good because she's always kind of struggled to find a place and a calling, I guess. She's worked a lot of odd jobs and she's learned a ton, but nothing ever came together. And now she's seeing that experience is an asset in this case, and her ability to think quickly and learn, new skills is perfect for what they're currently doing. So she, like Bren, has been trying to, sort of dip her hand into as many things as she can when it comes to, getting this ship going. She would probably check in with Bren a lot throughout the day, just reporting on, what she has done, what she's seen. She would definitely leave the engine-related things to Mira and Sisk, but I think she's very happy to be staying busy, because it helps, I guess, keep the emotional stuff at bay, especially after Violet left. She would have had a really hard time with that, kind of floating through being worried and sad and angry, and I think after that she threw herself even deeper into work. When you're exhausted at the end of the night, it's hard to keep yourself up overthinking. So and she's very eager to see like new places, and Sisk seems very excited about where they're headed, and so she's very stoked to see what comes next. And I guess we'll all see.
Indeed we shall. Over these weeks, you all have developed a kind of routine. Everybody, of course, has their own tasks aboard the ship that they are doing, whether it be in the engine or helping with even just flying the ship, sails, navigation, otherwise. Everyone does kind of pitch in with a little bit of everything. When you're running a crew, like this, as inexperienced as you all are in many ways, it's kind of necessary for everyone to be working with each other and backing each other up and supporting each other throughout everything that you're doing. And I think that this is most well represented with two of, in particular anyway, two of the other crew members that you brought on board kind of last minute, as it were, that being Nora and Taryn. Nora has taken up primarily the feeding responsibilities, the cooking, making sure that everyone is well fed at all times. But also Taryn, in quite a number of ways, kind of bounces around almost like a little shadow for everyone at different times. And it's unmistakable. At least after the first couple of weeks, it's impossible not to notice that the crew is starting to feel a little bit like family in a lot of ways. Whether it be Phelan and Dove getting into arguments over some thing that needs to be crafted to help the ship, or Oriana and Taryn and Nora kind of just hanging out in the maps room, fascinated by the different maps that are there that show things about this place that you're going to, and the names that exist and the various points on the map, and all of it just starts to feel very familiar after a few weeks, even after just a few weeks. And I think, well, actually, why don't I ask you all a question? How do you think your characters feel after 5 weeks of this, of seeing new skies and seeing new horizons and feeling like you're part of something different than what you had in the Imperium? Because for everybody else, it's almost too quick in some ways, but also understandable in others because of the hardships that everybody was leaving behind in the Imperium, that they have bonded so well. I'm curious how each of your characters feels about that.
80 feels hopeful, in a way that maybe she hadn't in a little while, especially as things were really heating up in the Imperium. I think there's so much to do and so much to see, and everyone seems to be realizing their potential in a different way. So I think that she has felt like they're making forward progress in a way that feels very good.
Mira feels a lot of excitement and interest, and a lot of anticipation at the unknown and being able to learn a whole bunch of new things and see things that she had not even imagined before. But along with that, she feels almost angry and resentful at the way the Imperium and the clergy have kept so much from the people. And she's really bothered by the fact that there's a whole world outside of the Imperium that no one knows about. And so, along with all of the wonder and curiosity, she thinks back a lot to the things that she learned in school and the ways that she feels the powers that be in the Imperium have withheld so much that could do good for so many people.
Sisk is feeling free, but also there's the aspect of, Sisk hasn't had to don any personas. They've really only shape-shifted for shits and giggles mostly. Maybe when they're telling a story and they're quoting someone, they'll turn into them very briefly, or just a facial feature or something, just for, as I said, shits and giggles. But yeah, so this is the longest probably time that they have ever gone without having to duck and weave and be in a persona, and it's a very new experience. And part of them's wondering if they are going to be able to get back into persona when they land, now that they have found that they have a personality.
It's actually a good point. We'll let Ian go next, and then I'm going to touch on something else.
Cool. Bryn has this renewed sense of purpose that he's finding in the daily tasks of the ship, but also just interacting with everyone. Like, just being a friend to the twins and to Sisk, or to like being that annoying uncle because he keeps giving Dove's kids candy, like when they're not looking. He's taking on like this very paternal role, but it's for the entirety of the ship. And that's what's kind of pushing him along to this point. There's a sense of responsibility that he didn't realize or didn't have when it was just him on the farm. And now that he has it, he's taking a deep enjoyment of it. I think like a lot of people would notice that every so often he's always popping into a room and he's just like, hey, everybody doing good? All right. And then like keeps it, moving to somewhere else. Yeah, that's where he is right now.
Yeah, I think that Taryn probably follows Bren around quite a bit, not just because of the candy, but also I think he recognizes Bren's role as captain, and maybe puts a little too much emphasis on it in some ways.
He doesn't mind it. There's been many times to where people will see Bear Bren with Taryn on his back, just like walking around. He's just kind of doing that whole bit.
Nice. Hey, Barl, my man, thank you so much for the gifted subs, my friend. It means so much to us. Wow. Barl coming in hot. We're back, baby. We're back. Thanks, Barl. Yeah, I think that's great, Ian. And I mean, Taryn isn't the only one that responds to a lot of that as well. I think that Dove, as much as, hey, Ra just gave you a hail, by the way, Ian. So there's an advantage for you.
Thank you, friend. I'm gonna need it because DD Dice fucking hates me.
I don't know why you think that, Ian. You have no justification.
Roll the footage. Sorry.
Somebody should put a super clip of Ian rolling one. Somebody make that. That would be awesome. Yeah, I think that even when Dove and Bren kind of butt heads with each other, as the two quote unquote old men on the ship, that even then it's that kind of good familial conflict that can happen, that can bring people closer together rather than drive them further apart. So each of you bonds, everybody bonds in different ways and at different times aboard this journey. And part of that is borne out from the difficulties that you have to endure, because flying this ship for extended periods is not easy. in the slightest.
I try to bond with the twins by every time that Dove and Bren get into a fight. Sis goes, "Hey, you want to bet if they're gonna kiss at the end, or?" And that's their attempt to bond.
Which I'm pretty sure works instantly. Hey, Kay, you picked up a hail as well. Thank you, Ari.
Thank you.
One thing that I think, well, actually, you know what? I'm going to leave this up to a roll. Let's do that. I think Mira could roll for this, and I think Sisk can roll for this. So we'll have the two of you roll intelligence checks, please.
Oh. I'll use my advantage that I just got.
Okay. You do that.
I rolled a 16.
Okay.
I think I got 14.
I didn't actually see your dice.
Did they not show up?
Nope. So I'll just trust you.
my
You got a total of
gosh.
14?
Yes.
Okay.
I'll fix that.
So with a 16, Mira, who just got a hail from Varl, by the way. Or no, I'm sorry, 80, you got a hail from Varl. Mira, I think will pick up on this relatively quickly. Because, like, she's studying books constantly from, from the lands outside of the Imperium. And so I think she'll probably come to the conclusion relatively early in the journey that you all are going to have to do something about the language barrier that is going to happen. And right now, you can understand language thanks to your gifts from Orlumis, and Sisk can speak and understand the language from across the sea. But everybody else is going to have some difficulties.
I think Sisk forgot about that completely until someone brings it up. Because I just... oops.
Yeah, Sisk is so good at, blending in and, mimicking accents and stuff. I think language just kind of comes second nature to Sisk. So it's almost like a muscle reflex in some ways for Sisk. So I think it makes sense that Sisk wouldn't necessarily pick up on it until maybe Mira brings it up. So do you all spend time with Sisk trying to teach everyone how to speak the language known as Intrescan?
There's so many conjugations. Like, is this really all necessary? Like, it's a lot of I don't know if I can do this.
What changes is if you're in a city state, if you're in a country, if you're in a province, they each use a little bit of you need to know a little bit of everything.
Once you get the cadence down, though, I think it starts to come a bit more naturally.
But it's a lot of, like, gargle noises for some reason. It's just, I can't do it. I'm just going to cast a message to everyone that I need to talk to.
Well, message is still language-based, but your telepathic bond, I think, will bypass language.
Yeah, I'm just going to scare everybody by entering their minds. That's it.
What a way to make an introduction.
Yeah, just, hello. Sorry.
So, it is also worth pointing out, I think, that, Sisk would probably orient to this as well, that you're lucky in some ways that you only really need to learn Intrescan, because virtually everywhere you go in the primary continent of Insaris, people know Intrescan, with the exception, of course, being the barbarian tribes and the fractured tribe lands. They may not, because they were the only place that was not conquered by Intresca, a few thousand years ago. So there's at least that. You don't have to learn 5 or 6 languages. You just have to try to learn one.
I feel like for some reason Brent picks up on those languages easier. He's like, now this I get. This makes sense.
There's some derivative tribal language that's kind of like Orcish that Bren just knows intuitively.
Now, why can't we all just switch to this system, like the metric system? Like we could just do that.
Nice. Kay, looks like you got another hail from Varl.
Oh, fucking A! Yes, thank you.
Thank you so much. So in your weeks of travel, in your weeks of learning language, bonding together and the like, is there anything in particular that any of you do to, other than the language part, prepare for your arrival to Kuvalia?
Mira is constantly peppering Sisk with any question she can think of, and just like really, like, the closer they get, the more nervous she feels about, like, I have no idea what this is going to be like, or what I'm going to have to know, or what's going to make me look silly or stupid. And so she, like, gets this sort of frantic energy as time passes on, and just, like, tries to memorize as much as she can from Sisk about what is going to be expected, or, like, what's the norm in Kuvalia.
I think Sisk and Mira have together now made a giant map that just keeps getting bigger, and it's just of a bunch of streets and everything that Sisk can remember of the layout from like 30 years ago. So none of these places are probably around, but just being like, this is the main city, and here's the post office, and or the messenger service, and then here's the florist that I really liked.
I think Brent is knowing that we're going to go to a place where we land. He's taking a surprisingly detailed list of things that we need, and that we want, and that, like, he personally wants, and, like, he's going around to everybody. He's like, we're going to land. Do you want anything? I remember the last time we landed, you like those little things. Do you want to see if we have those? We don't know how long we're going to be in the sky. And he's doing that to, like, everybody, trying to prepare himself for that too. I think he also had a conversation with Sisk about the environment as well. So while Adi and Sisk are kind of doing their thing, he's kind of peering over and he's asking questions like, do we need to be wary? Are they very hostile? Like, what's dangerous? Like, the same thing. What do? I don't want to look silly, but it's more so of the lines of, like, what don't we do so that we don't the least amount of attention, like, what, so they can go in, do what we need, and then we can leave.
Why don't you guys go ahead and have that conversation, and I'll interject where Kay needs me to.
Oh my gosh. Let me see what I can remember about Kuvalia. Well, from what I remember, when I was last there 30 years ago, they're very friendly, they're very kind, full of, as I said, full of magic, full of life. All sorts of types of people. There's a lot of people who are, like, made of the elements. I don't know if you have any people like that in the Imperium, like made of
water
stone.
People.
Yeah, water people,
Wow.
air people. It is. Mm-hmm.
So we're okay with magic. Like, that's kind of the biggest. Yeah. So, like, we don't.
This is magic central. The cities are full of magic. The people are magic. Period. That it is like, you're gonna be period. We're gonna be vibrating with magic almost. Like,
what's the weirdest magic you've ever seen?
Oh, don't ask that question. I feel okay. You can answer it. Listen, you don't want to know. You should have told me, sis. You shouldn't have told me. I didn't want to know, and I'm telling you, you don't want to know.
Now I really want to know.
Same. Sisk, you should tell us.
horrors beyond your comprehension.
beyond comprehension.
I will say that, I've seen a lot of different types of people, as said, but Oriana is something else completely. I don't know if I've ever seen someone like her. So you guys have your own.
You just hear from the hallway, "Thank you."
Yeah, you hot.
What is going on?
Blue people with solidarity.
Sisk is vibing. I love to see it.
I fucking love it too.
So, what else about Kuvalia? I think there's like libraries. I think they have. Is it there that they? No, Entreska has the kind of background on all the elves that's still around. What else is in Kuvalia? I think there's a monastic structure in something. I don't know if there's any behaviors that'll get you put in jail right away, like if you whistle in public or something. So,
yeah, that's one. Yeah.
Yeah, but don't try not to look too touristy.
Is it expensive there? Like, is it like, what's the cost of living?
Oh yeah, what's the money? I don't remember what the money is like.
Well, I'm curious, how much of Kuvalia did Sisk travel, and how much does Sisk even remember of their travel in Kuvalia?
I think they probably hit a few of the like big touristy destinations. They think they did a tourist tour. I don't think it would be one of the places that they stayed at the longest.
So, give me a history check.
Yeah, for sure. I think
let's see what I can fill in from your history check that you have not already given.
Are we looking at Vegas prices or like was crazy?
Here we go. 17.
Okay, with a 17, I will say that you didn't venture to the capital, but you were just outside of the capital in one of the connecting smaller cities. For what it's worth, the capital is like extremely large. It's actually the largest by population in the world. And it actually has like 4 surrounding cities that are like connected to it, almost making it basically like a metropolis. And inside the capital is egregiously expensive. The cities surrounding aren't super expensive. And then there's the trade city far to the east that I think Sisk probably knows the best, and that's kind of expensive too. But everything else is relatively rural and not crazy in a lot of ways. With that 17, I think I'll also make mention that airships are definitely not, or they're definitely new, right? Like, you're not sure if the people of Kuvalia will have even seen an airship before.
Yeah. This is probably my first time seeing an airship, I feel like.
It is your first time. It was definitely Sisk's first time. Like, there had been rumors in the invention spheres that people were trying to figure out how to fly, as a means of transportation, but that was all like pipe dream, nobody ever thought that would ever happen. So the fact that you're riding in an airship right now, it's crazy to Sisk in some ways. And so it would occur to Sisk, I think, that even Sisk does not know. They don't know if Kuvalia has seen an airship. So if you guys are planning on trying to arrive without drawing attention, that might be harder than you think.
Land outside, as far outside the city as you're willing to walk.
How far would that be?
How far are you willing to walk?
It depends on the level of safety, Sisk. Like, how far? Brandon's looking at you like what? That's important.
How far can you see the airship on a clear day?
Pretty far.
I mean, I do have major illusion, so if we're landing fast, we'll be fine.
If we're landing fast,
Coming in hot, right?
we'll just crash the airship. Jeez, I was thinking about that too.
That's what they did last time. It seemed to work for them.
They all died. Okay, so that's gonna be something we need to focus on. Any ideas? I was just like looking at the twins. Now we're all making the same face. I'll figure it out. It's fine. We'll find like a nice, and he's like walking out. He's just like, we'll find like a nice patch of grass to like.
You're the captain. Aren't you supposed to be the idea man now?
No, that's you. Like, I mean, I have ideas, but I've never been here. So I don't, I honestly thought that there would be a place for us to park. No.
Oh, find one of those trade cities near a body of water, land in the water, and ride in.
That sounds like fun.
You do know that there are quite a few decently sized lakes and a large number of rivers that crisscross through Kuvalia. So.
And they do use rivers to transport goods and services.
Perfect. Well, that won't mess with our engine, will it? Like, can it get wet?
No, the engine will make it easier to sail, probably.
Okay. There it is. We have a somewhat of a plan, or at least a plan to get on the ground. Awesome. Should be fun.
At some point, Phelan is just standing in the background making notes. Check seals.
Perfect. I know Phelan got me.
Okay, perfect. So we know what we're going to do in getting the boat down. I have things that I'm going to get, just stuff to keep us okay. What about you all?
What you have stuff to keep us okay?
Yeah, like food, board games, like stuff. I have a grocery list, supplies to keep us okay. Because if we didn't have it, we would starve. What's going on?
You don't think they have food there?
No, it's for us on the boat to when we leave. Like,
got it.
Oh, those are things that you're getting, not stuff that you already possess. Got it.
I thought you were packing a picnic.
I'm sorry. Do you want to do a picnic? We can do a picnic. Is that going to be what you want to do?
I mean, it sounds
Go
cute.
out to eat. Oh, okay. Is everyone okay?
Yeah. Are you okay?
I don't know
You
yet.
seem
I'm trying to
really
figure that out.
Nervous and kind of tense.
Because we've never been here, and the last person of our group who has been here, it's been 30 years. So it's like new people, new environment. Like it's a bit. I'm a little nervous. Yes.
I mean, sure, but aren't you more excited than nervous?
Well, I'm absolutely excited. I am. Because it's new people and it's a new land and new experiences, but after a lot of the things that we kind of experienced in our own area of the world, it kind of leaves it open, positive and negative, if you want to look at what could potentially happen. Like, what if this place has changed to the point to where it's not as freeing and open as Sisk is saying, and now we're in another situation? I don't want anyone on the ship to be put in a series of dangers like we just left, at least for a little bit.
Well, hey, how about this? When we land, I will run out first. I'll go kind of to do a little bit of a scouting mission. I'll figure out what the lay of the land is, what's new, what's changed, and then I can come back or meet you part way back, because I could probably move faster by myself than with everyone together.
I mean that's smart, but you both and Sisk, you three, you seem really excited. Like maybe the three of you go, and then you just let us know when everything's fine. Like, go have fun, check it out, and I'll just do old guy things here until you tell me it's okay.
Listen, we're not going to know how things are going to turn out, no matter how good they seem right away. It could be 10 times worse than the Imperium for all we know, but I mean, I feel like we all needed to leave that place. And I mean, we'll figure it out as we go. We're pretty capable.
And also, what if we get into an immediate scrape and need you to bamf into a bear and you're back here?
I mean, I'm pretty fast as a bear. Wouldn't that be scary? Just a rampaging bear running into town. Okay, I'll go too. That's fine. We're all going now.
Perfect.
I'm just so nervous. Gosh.
You can hold Tig's hand if you want.
Tig's coming too?
Yeah.
Solid. We have a plan. We have a plan on where we're gonna land. We have a plan on going into the city. Anything else we should keep an eye out for or do? All right. Well,
go see a play. We should stay a couple nights. Get a nice room.
We're making this a thing. Oh, okay. Oh, I thought we would just. Okay, that's fine. Make it a thing if that's what you guys want to do. You guys can see that, like, Bryn is taking an additional step to make sure that you all are comfortable. Like, it's almost, it's not pushy, but you're kind of like, what's this thing?
Dad, chill. It's gonna be fine. You can have fun on vacation too.
What? What did you call me? That's weird. Don't do that. That's weird. I don't like how that felt.
I didn't like saying it, so
I liked it.
But you said it. You. Okay, that's fine. I don't know. I'm feeling a need to make sure that you three specifically are fine. Because I don't think I have the capacity for another letter. That's it.
I'm with you to the end,
smothering. Buddy. Yeah, I know. And it was the end for a little bit, and it brought your ass back. Yeah. That was fun. I'm gonna go topside. I'm gonna figure out where to land this thing. You guys do what you guys do. I'll see you in a minute.
Does this really do blow him a kiss on his way out?
I don't know if he sees. So, girls, are you excited?
Yeah.
Yeah,
What do you
I
want
think
to do?
so.
What have you always wanted to do?
everything.
Okay.
Yeah.
First thing, fireball. As
Okay,
soon as we
wait.
get there, right? Can you cast fireball?
I have no idea. I haven't tried. Beats
Next
me.
time.
We'll find out, I'm sure, by surprise sometime.
Somewhere on the ship, Bren's like, and don't find out now. Not here.
I'll wait a bit. Sisk. Do they have places where you can get your ears pierced?
I would assume so. Yeah.
Cool.
I mean, they're rock people, so I would assume like there's tons of different ways to get different piercings, and no matter what kind of skin you got. You seem pretty fleshy, but
Thank you. That just feels like a very very lovely middle finger, I guess, to our, homeland. So,
I get it.
Uh,
I didn't. I could do that right now. We have an apple. We have a needle. I don't know.
an apple.
You put it like behind your ear or something so that you don't stab
Oh.
yourself. Okay, maybe
Okay.
we should get a professional to do that. Never mind.
I'm down for whatever, but we need to do it. Also, I wish.
You want a tattoo?
Actually, I did acquire some tattooing supplies from a friend in the city well before we left. Hoping that perhaps that would be something that we can do together at some point. I was going
Look,
to
she
suggest that
did
we
this
do
really
it.
shitty half heart on me, and it looks like a butt.
I had to practice. Jeez, you're the worst.
Okay, so I think we found a spot. What is that? Do you all have one?
I want one now.
I've mostly
When
been
did this
practicing on
happen?
my thigh. It's well,
How come you didn't tell me? I got some stuff I want.
captaining. Well, okay, sure, but like I want to make sure it actually looks good. So, but I do think we should get like a group tattoo or something to commemorate our, experiences. So just
Yeah.
start brainstorming design ideas.
at you two.
and-
Leave the city and you guys get all crazy. I love it.
You're very confusing to me. Like,
What?
very protective and, hovery. And then also you love I don't know. It feels contradictory to me, but I'm here for it. So,
How so?
I don't know. I feel like our dad would have a lot to say about piercings for sure.
Oh, you
I
want a
don't think he-
piercing too?
Yeah,
I wasn't here for
I
that.
feel like we should get our ears pierced.
I think we have an apple around here.
You really are a dad, aren't you? Just don't fucking listen at all. Wow.
What?
It's fine. It's fine. It's not a big deal. Anyways, we're getting tattoos. It's gonna be great. I'm excited.
Sounds good.
Wonderful.
Still don't know how my actions are confusing, but sure. It's you all. You all are confused. No, I'm just kidding. Anyway, I was in, found a spot. We were approaching. So
Well,
I don't know if you guys
you
wanna
think you
go and
found a
see.
spot. You still haven't seen land yet. But you were consulting with, maps and such. And the maps. Has Sisk spent any time reviewing the maps of Kuvalia?
I definitely at the very least translate, but
Right. Yes, that's a good point. Go ahead and give me a history check then.
Ooh, I'm going to use my advantage from Varl roll.
You do that.
In the hopes that this doesn't go badly. I got a nat 1 and a unnatural 20, so I think it was worthwhile.
Probably. The maps are newer than when Sisk was there, but only by about 10 years. And so they're still decently old. The major geographical landmarks probably haven't changed, of course, but it's hard to say if, any cities or towns have changed in that time span. So that's worth pointing out. Yeah, it's worth making mention of that. Beth, you were the only one that didn't actually answer my question from before about was there any particular preparations or anything that 80 was making before your arrival in Kuvalia as you get closer and closer?
I think part of what 80 would do would be to talk to Sisk about ensuring that they don't violate any customs or kind of make fools of themselves. She would definitely ask if any of her clothes were inappropriate, like how much cleavage is okay and not okay. Are there colors you're not supposed to wear? Are there whatever. And I think a lot of it would be seen as sort of silly sort of questions, because I do think she is very game to just jump in and see whatever the fuck happens and figure things out. Because as she's learned a lot before all of this, but then especially with this group, no matter what you plan for, something else is going to happen. So,
right.
You might as well just roll with it.
Welcome to my world.
Yeah.
I think though that's actually some really good conversations that 80 ends up having with Sisk. And for the most part, with what Sisk knows about Kuvalia anyway, for the most part, there aren't a lot of those types of issues in Kuvalia. Kuvalia is a very colorful place. First of all, their clothes vary tremendously from region to region. Kuvalia is enormous as a country, and there's a pretty diverse array of cultural quirks between the various regions. Stylistically, clothes, colors, and all of that sort of thing has some measure of similarity, but there's enough distinction that if you're from Kuvalia, you can probably recognize where a person is from in Kuvalia just based on what they wear, or even their accent. As far as taboo things, that does apply in situations of circumstance, meaning don't wear white to a wedding, and that's the kind of thing that I mean for as far as taboo and whatnot. But you're probably not going to have to worry over much about your attire walking down the street in Kuvalia right now, other than the fact that you're going to stand out, because your all style of clothing is dramatically different from Kuvalia, and so it's going to be noticeable. Now, the question becomes then, do you all do something about that? Because you do have, some time before you arrive in Kuvalia. You do have some amount of resources in which you could potentially try to, based on Sisk's understanding of what people wear, granted it is 30 years out of date, you could try to, formulate some more style appropriate attire.
Also,
I'm
I've
so
decided.
very excited for that.
Yes. Sorry. I want to say I've decided their middle finger is this. It is a peace sign of your 2 middle fingers.
Sick.
That's how you flip somebody off in Kuvalia?
Yeah.
Nice.
We should also learn like the curse words and stuff. I would love to know if people are talking shit about us, but also that's the most fun thing to learn, I would say.
I mean, when you're doing language learning, like that's the easiest thing to learn first. So of course Sisk is going to teach you the foul words first.
Yes. Incredible.
That and I know K, so. Great. Anything else that any of you can think of? As you all continue forward on your journey, continue flying into the horizon, there comes a point where you're somewhere around a few days out. You are... there's always one person who's looking at the horizon, looking for any signs of Kuvalia in the distance, right? And being high up, flying as you are, you can see a tiny speck of land off in the distance. And I would like for each of you to roll a d20, please.
Okay.
And let's see who happens to be the one responsible for looking at the horizon when you spot it. I saw 2 18s. Who
One
got
of them is mine.
So rollies, roll off.
Roll out.
Or maybe they look at it together.
Actually, I'm fine with that.
Woo! Nope, I want this win.
Great, I'll give it to you. You deserve it. I rolled a 2.
DD Dice didn't fail you that time, Ian.
Nope, everybody gets one.
Everybody gets one. Every now and then. So, as Bren is looking out at the horizon, and he sees this speck of land in the distance, what do you think he does?
Is it what time of the day is it? Is it dark? Is it night? Like what?
It's probably around middle of the day, maybe just after high suns.
Oh, okay, got it. I think he gathers the trio and whoever else wants to go, and he's just like, hey, take a look. Like, he shows everybody. Pretty cool.
As soon as you bring this to the attention of everyone, like, there comes a point where you can't do this for very long because literally everyone in the crew comes to the railing of the ship. Taryn, of course, is leading. Like, he alerts as soon as you make mention of that. Taryn is freaking out and yelling at the top of his little lungs for everybody to come and see.
Hold on. You're gonna tip the thing over, not everybody on one side.
The ship can handle it. And so you're all staring out at this horizon. And at this point, the land is just a speck in the distance, right? You're still probably 2 days travel out. The ship doesn't travel fast. It's not like flying an airplane. You're not going, hundreds of miles an hour here. You're still traveling decently fast, but it's still a very, very good long ways away. And so that first day of just seeing the land get slightly larger and larger in the distance, it's captivating to each of you, to everyone on board. Different people, of course, leave and come back because jobs still have to get done, right? Some folk have to go and sleep to fly the evening, right? It doesn't change the operations of the ship, but it changes the feel. Everyone's pulse is just a a little bit quicker now. Everyone is feeling that hum of tension in the air, that aspect of, wow, we're almost there. You start hearing questions amongst the crew and even probably amongst yourselves. What's it going to be like? Sisk, you probably get peppered 3 times as much as you had been in the previous weeks. Every single day that you've gotten closer, the questions have become more and more frequent, of course. Every now and then you have to lock yourself in the engine room to, avoid people and their questions. But now it's starting to become more real with each passing hour. Night comes, and you can kind of still see the land on the horizon, because with 3 moons in the sky and with flying as you are, everything is much brighter and you can still see some of it. But then, as the suns crest to the eastern sky the next day, and you see them alight behind the land, so much larger than they were before. Everything feels even more elevated. Ren, you can tell that a few folk are probably not getting quite as much sleep as they really need to be getting. You're probably not getting as much sleep as you should be getting. But it's starting to feel so much more real now.
Okay. All right, everybody. Those of us who need a rest, we need to get a rest. I want to make sure that we're able to, have as much energy as we can once we arrive. So, shoo. He's just kind of like, all right, you've seen it. It's enough. What? Is it looking at 80? What? Oh, I thought you were giving me a look. I'm like, what? I'm trying to, it
Nope.
does no good for anybody if they're tired and they're going to see what they want to see.
Yeah.
On that note, you mind taking over my shift for tonight?
Me?
Yeah.
Are you making fun of me or something?
How is that in any way someone making fun
I
of
don't
you?
know. It feels like you've been very...
Yeah, let's talk about that. What do you mean? What's very...
No, I just mean like you've been very serious about your role as captain of the ship, and I am surprised that you would feel like relinquishing control to me, someone who has never helmed the ship, and we're almost there,
I mean, I'm not asking you to land it. Just keep it straight. That's it. Plus, you've excelled so much in your knowledge and your skills, especially everything around the ship. I think it's not a sense of trust, or at least it isn't me trusting you in this particular case. You're more than capable to steer the boat. Why would you think that?
I mean, I think I can do it. I just...
There
I
it
don't
is.
know. Awesome. Okay, yeah. I can do it. I'll do it. You can get a good night's sleep in your chair or wherever.
You know me so well, because that's where I was going.
I figured, yeah.
And if anything makes you nervous, or if you need help for whatever reason, like you said, I'll
I
just
won't
be in
bother
the
you.
chair.
Nah, I'll bother somebody else. You should sleep. Also, nothing's going to go wrong.
Yeah.
It's going to be perfect. I'm
I didn't
confident.
say anything would go wrong.
You're confident. This is great.
Okay. I'll be in my chair if you need anything.
Okay.
And then like he makes it real weird. He does one of these.
Hey,
Look at me,
Bren.
person who cares too much.
Thank you for believing in me. Appreciate it.
Always have. And he walks away while eating peanuts.
80's like,
Really?
okay, better not fuck this up. Let's go.
So 80 takes command of the night shift, eh?
Yeah. Bet your boots she does.
Who on the crew is manning the night shift with her then?
I get to decide?
Yeah.
Sick. Okay. We're gonna stack this
Like
deck
I feel
then.
like you, Beth, are deciding this. I don't think that this was a decision that 80 made, but I'm
Oh,
handing
no.
the reins over to you to decide. So
How many people do we need on a night shift?
you need it yourself plus 3.
Great. We've got Dove. We've got Phelan, and then I'll take Ren as a bit of a wild card. I know that she doesn't particularly like me, and I'm a little miffed that I didn't get any more information out of her. But I also feel like in a pinch, she'd be able to clean up whatever mess I make. So I feel really good about the people that are with me, which I think helps bolster my confidence a bit.
Out of curiosity, does 80 press Ren and or use her gifts to try to learn what Ren knows?
I think she would have been trying really hard to read Ren's emotion as, she asked her questions. And I would imagine that what she got back for much of it was kind of like a general, sorry, can't say anything to you kind of thing,
Give me an insight check.
Ooh, okay. 18.
Don't you roll insight checks with advantage, or
Sure. Yeah,
I'm
I
just-
do. I wasn't sure if this was a case where I could do that.
Yeah.
18.
okay. 18 is good enough for you to, I mean, Ren is a hard person to read, right?
Yeah.
Just period. She keeps everything tight in her chest, so she's just very difficult to read. But you find that particularly when it comes to the subject of Violet, it might be a little bit easier for 80 to read Ren than others. And while it's true that Ren is upset about Violet's departure, I will say that pretty much right away after Violet left, 80 knew that Ren was seemingly okay with it. As much as it pissed her off, she accepted it.
I mean, I think that's the only way she would have accepted it at all, is knowing that Ren isn't terrified or,
Yeah. So when you're on that shift with Ren, do you have a discussion with her?
Probably not. I think 80 is very focused on doing a good job. I do think that she believes in her abilities well enough to make this happen with, the crew that she has working with her. But I also think in the back of her mind, she's like, if I fuck this up, I will never hear the end of it. And I just, we're so close and we've been doing okay this whole time. Let's not, jinx anything. Especially like by distracting Ren with, questions that she doesn't want to answer. So I think she'd probably leave it.
Yeah. I get that. So, go ahead and roll. Just roll a d20 for me. Not tied to any particular ability.
Natural 20.
Okay, then. I'm curious how much of a boost 80 gets when morning comes and everything has gone perfectly overnight. There was a moment where like some sails came undone, and she quickly got to noticed it and had Phelan working with Dove to get the situation rectified. Navigation, you stayed the course. Nothing untoward drove you off wrong directions or anything. And by the time morning comes, 80, I don't even think realized how fast the night went before she saw a light on the horizon. What does that do for her?
I mean, she feels great about it. I think that she's always been a hard worker and a decently quick learner in, a lot of the things that she's tried. And so I think that she has surprised people who have given her responsibility in the past to whatever, small extent. But I think in a case like this, she feels like she's earned respect, not just from Bren, but from the rest of them too. All people who are older and wiser than her, who didn't roll their eyes when she was the one who was in charge of everything. They all believed in her enough to just let her go for it. And I think that after all of the work that she put in, while they've been traveling, feels really fucking good. And it'll definitely send her to sleep that morning just feeling very pleased with how she's done.
I think, if I may, Bren catches you before you you go to your quarters, and he's just like, "How'd it go?"
Fine. I mean, there weren't really any issues with weather. There was a bit of a thing with the sails, but we got that fixed up really quickly. Barely noticed anything.
It happens every night.
Does it?
It does.
Should have said something. We could have found a fix for it. So it didn't happen every night. Yeah, I mean, it went well.
Here's the real question. How beautiful was it? Right? That crest into the morning?
It was great. It was really, really great. Yeah.
That's why I take the night shift, for that moment.
See, you've been hogging that feeling the whole time. Ugh.
You can't take the night shift every night, but...
Fair.
And this was the one night where I couldn't. This was like, all right.
Yeah, it was great. Thank you again for just sort of letting me hop in. I loved
thank
it.
you. I was able to get some sleep. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Where's your
Anytime.
sister?
What time is it? I mean, she's probably still sleeping. That
7
hasn't
a.m.
changed. She's, yeah. If it's not 9 o'clock, I would say there's no chance that she's awake. So.
Okay. Did you see Sisk anywhere either?
Not yet, but I haven't snooped around.
Gotcha. So Sisk is probably still in the engine room, and your sister's in their room. Okay. You enjoy your sleep. And he turns, and as he turns, you just see Bear Bryn. He walks away.
Amazing. Oh, fantastic.
So as suns rise, this one day closer to Kuvalia, you can see that it is much larger on the horizon. Now you can actually see the land and how far it stretches. It goes so ridiculously far to the south and to the north. There's a part of each of you, as you're looking at this at various times, you know, we move into the afternoon, the night crew wakes up, everybody has different levels of attention that they're giving. Some people can't stop talking about it, and others have to stop talking about it and are almost silent throughout all of it. Everybody's handling their nervous tension in slightly different ways. And as you see Kuvalia on the horizon, I'm going to put up some art here. And for what it's worth, this isn't what you see right now. This is what you're going to see when you get much closer over top.
Oh, that's fire.
Kuvalia. But this is kind of a glimpse of what you see on the horizon.
Welcome
The
to
colors of the landscape are mesmerizing. The mountains in the Imperium are mostly white because of how tall they are, and then gray and green in, kind of a more natural landscape. This landscape that you see in the distance, so far removed from that. It's so far different from all of that. You can tell just in the way the sky is alight and the reflection of the colors of the land on the horizon. You can tell that this is definitely not the Imperium. There's a magic to it that cannot be shaken. Particularly for you, 80. I'm curious, Beth, tell us what 80 feels as she sees this place of obvious magic in the distance.
Partly it feels like an enormous relief. Just seeing a place that oozes magic and knowing that she can go there and doesn't have to, worry about, seemingly anything just by looking down at it. I think there's also a little twinge of just kind of wishing that she had known that this was out there and possible, because maybe she would have felt differently or would have left sooner, or who even knows. But she shoves that down pretty quickly and just allows herself to be excited to just be exactly who she is in the way that she couldn't be back home.
And how does this carry through the bond to Mira?
I think Mira would have felt something like a more muted version of this when each time they acquired a new friend who learned about her magic and didn't freak out and just showed their own magic, just that little like spark of kin. And so to see that this whole place, it just, is like this, I think she would feel just a big wave of like belonging that I'm sure Mira has feelings about.
Does Mira have feelings about it?
Yeah, I think so. I think there's a little bit of trepidation, just like worrying that this place might hurt 80, but also like a feeling of like hope and excitement that 80 might actually find a place and find what she's been looking for. And so it's complicated, but I think it's overall pretty positive.
And I think 80 is, obviously she's very excited for herself and her own experience with it. But I think looking all over, she knows that, everyone in her group has had to suppress parts of themselves in one way or many for a long time. And so I think, part of her excitement is just seeing possibility before her and hopefully relief for everybody.
You can definitely tell that as you get closer, I described everyone being slightly nervous and in different ways and such. You can definitely tell that Oriana is feeling a lot of the same ways that 80 is. Oriana is experiencing, perhaps in the same kind of hope that 80 has. And I think that 80 can even feel that from Oriana, who is normally completely blocked off. Normally, 80 can't really feel emotions from Oriana unless she allows it.
Mm-hmm.
And she's unable to kind of suppress that, or she just doesn't want to in this particular case.
I think, I think that 80 would chat her up a bit more, just sort of asking, like, are you ready? How are you feeling about our journey so far? And, kind of just sort of like leading her to hopefully tap into some of that enthusiasm, because it feels really good to feel good about something.
Yeah, for sure.
So I think she would, just try to let her have some fun with it.
Definitely. And I think that there is that kind of fun conversation that the two of you have, or at least start to have anyway. Because perhaps only a few minutes into that conversation, all of you can see the clouds darken around you. All of you can feel a storm come on almost instantly. Now, you've weathered a couple of storms already on this airship, so you know what to do, but some of you, particularly Bren, but I'll give it to the others as well. You can decide if you would notice this. You know that this is not normal. Every instance of these storms that you have dealt with in the past, you've seen them coming. And this one materialized out of nowhere. The clouds darken to a almost black and blue state. You can hear thunder in the distance before you see the lightning. and then you start seeing the lightning. And with each bolt of lightning ripping around the ship comes an instantaneous boom of the thunder that shakes each of you to your core. Need for all 4 of you, please. Well, I need to ask Sisk, Kay, would Sisk be above deck? Or as soon as the storm starts happening, start heading for below deck?
I probably, as once the storm starts, head below deck. That's probably where I'm needed the most, I would assume.
Okay. Well, I'll give you then, everybody roll a perception check for him. But Sisk, you're going to be at disadvantage because I'm going to say that you're like heading below deck as you notice this. And so you may not notice.
I rolled a nat 1, so I'm going to use my advantage.
You should do that.
I'm also going to use my advantage.
I also am going to use my advantage.
I still managed the 20 at disadvantage.
God
so.
damn it. Damn it. All right.
So, Ian, I'm assuming, did not notice. Bren didn't really notice much here, based on the goddammits, because there was 3 of them.
I mean,
right? So,
the highest, yeah, the highest one was 14 total. Like, but still.
Yeah. What about the rest of you? How'd you do?
I also got a 14.
I got a 20 at disadvantage.
Whew. I got a 23.
Nice. So certainly 80 is going to notice this, and ironically, Sisk, you're going to see this movement in the clouds just as you are about to reach the access way for the stairs to go down and start heading below deck. But it isn't going to take long for the rest of you to notice as well, as a enormous dragon breaks through the storm clouds. Its scales instantaneously shimmering blue with each bolt of lightning that surrounds it. You can see the awesome power of this entity as it flies directly towards you in front. I need for each of you to please make wisdom saving throws against its presence. Hey, there's a nat 20. Oh, that was almost another nat 20 for Kay. Look at that, Ian. You're doing fine.
Yeah, that's a cool 24 altogether.
Did anyone get
Same.
below 19?
I got
Sisk did?
10.
Okay. The rest of you all got 19 or better? Okay. So Sisk, you are unfortunately afflicted with frightened at the moment from seeing this dragon. I'll let you concoct whatever stories that Sisk has in their memory of seeing a dragon before and realizing, you know, how afraid they are of them, or at least of seeing them. But this dragon is bearing down on all of you. Actually, I need to do a couple of rolls here too. Hang on.
Wait, you guys, what if it's just a grown-up star? And they've come to find us.
They've come to find you for leaving them behind in the Imperium.
Yeah, which I will take that story arc any day.
How do you know that would be a good story arc to take? How do you know?
Because
How do you know
we have a
Star
connection. We're homies.
at this moment isn't plotting and planning?
Because we had the thing and the Star. Hey,
That was at my death. I think maybe they were the cause of my death. Dun, dun, dun.
coming to claim the lost soul.
I mean, you guys can go back and watch the VOD if there was, you know, if you're really interested to see who caused Sisk's death and where that blame lies. Dove and Nora and Taryn, and Oriana all failed. Phelan and Ren succeeded. Is Tig immune to fear? Hey, Varl, kicking in their bits.
If they're a construct, they would be.
They're different kind of constructs, so it's not necessarily true that they are automatically immune to being frightened. They are often guaranteed to be immune to charm, but not necessarily frightened. For now, Kay will say that they are not frightened, but that's something that you'll need to probably check on for later. So yeah, Varl just donated some bits, so everybody has an extra advantage. Thank you so much, Varl. Oh, Varl, when you were AFK, you missed Kay using one of their advantages, so I think Kay also is just down to 1 right now.
Okay.
So I think it's 1 across the board for everybody.
And Tig can be afraid, it looks like.
Yeah.
Can't be charmed, can't be surprised, but can be scared.
Yep.
Would you like me to roll for them?
So it's like just beans in a can rattling.
11. Let me see if that's plus anything.
That's not going to be +6, I know. So it is appropriate then that both Tig and Sisk are frightened at the moment. So we're not necessarily in initiative yet. I'm going to give each of you, except for Sisk, an opportunity to do something at this point, as this dragon, who is now around 120 feet and closing fast, is flying at you at speed. What do you guys do initially as this happens?
Unless somebody's got something, I got something. I'd like to cast Speak with Animals.
I think Bren is smart enough to know that you don't need that to speak to a dragon, particularly one of this enormous size. When I say enormous, by the way, I mean that this being its wingspan is larger than the ship.
Okay. So what you're saying is I could still talk to this thing.
You can certainly try. Depends, I guess, on whether or not they know the language of the Imperium, or whether or not you know enough beyond curse words in whatever language it does know.
This dragon speaks Treskel? And does it speak
Entreskin? Maybe.
Again? Oh, jeez.
What do you got,
Can I conjure a floating disc and float Bren toward the dragon?
What are you doing? What? Is this how you do? You see how you treat your captain? I thought we were friends.
No, I think I'm just trying to get you on closer to his face, so maybe it notices you and you know.
Closer to its face? You're trying to sacrifice me to the dragon? Get me off this disc!
Do you want me to drop it? And you're fully over open air now.
Okay, no! hang on. Okay, that was clip-worthy. Twitch didn't say anything about that. Is your floating disc spell one of your ritual spells, though, or is it one of the spells that you just know? Because I think it's one of your ritual spells.
It is.
Okay, so I love that as a concept, but let's be true. Let's be true to ourselves here, and Mira wouldn't be able to just arbitrarily float Bren out. On top of the fact that Bren would have had to have been willing to be on it anyway. So, yes.
Not unless I didn't know about it. It just happened. I'm like, ah! I still, unless somebody has shenanigans, I still want to attempt to talk to the dragon.
So Bren is heading to the front of the ship in an effort to yell out and try to get the dragon's attention.
Yeah.
As he's going to do that, I feel like 80 would open her mind and heart and see if there's any emotion coming from this dragon, just to know whether or not perhaps it is pissed off, or this is a friendly welcome.
You need to make a spellcaster ability check.
This I can do.
Also, Raven just gave you a Halion, so you have an extra advantage.
Thank you.
21.
What? You rolled a 14 on the die, right?
Yes.
You do not have a +7 to your charisma.
Sorry. 18.
18. Okay.
Yeah.
You can roll an insight check, but it is not with advantage, as
That's
you
fine.
cannot read the emotions of this creature using your gift.
I would like to use my advantage
Okay.
that we just received.
Thank you, Varl.
Thank you so much,
Hey.
Varl. Yeah, okay, 24.
24. You've never seen a dragon before in person, other than of this size, right? Like, you saw the baby dragons, and you saw Star.
So cute.
And
so
this,
friendly.
right? So cute, so friendly. You know, the size of the biggest one was the size of a dog, right? Very, very friendly. This one's the size of like a multi-story house.
Yeah.
And it's
Big boy.
bearing down on top of you.
Uh-huh.
But you do notice, even through that horrific sight of whether or not you are contemplating whether or not it wants to eat you, even through that, you do notice that it doesn't seem to be anyway from your gauge wanting to cause harm. Seems like it's trying to induce fear. Part of that comes
Okay.
from the fact that you notice, because you also have a very good passive perception, that it doesn't seem to be hurling lightning out of its mouth yet. And maybe some story that Mira read to 80 years ago talking about dragons and how they almost always, when they are wanting to cause harm, unleash a breath of potent elemental energy. This one's not doing that.
Picking up on that, I think that she would run in the same direction as Bren and just like yell to him, like, I don't think it actually wants to hurt us, it just wants to scare us, and see whatever he ends up saying to this dragon.
Oh, okay, it's good to know.
Deb, does Mira do anything? Despite wish that she could do a summoning a disc to hurl Bren towards the mouth of this creature. You're muted.
Yes, thank you. I think. Sorry, I'm just going over my arcane soul ability again. I think what she wants to do is use the use the portent ability, and so I can roll 2 d20s and exchange attack roll, saving throw, or ability check for one of those rolls.
Okay. So go ahead and set up your portent, and while you are doing that, what does Bren yell out as he is rushing to the front of the ship?
I think with AD saying like they're just trying to scare us. I think his plan is to keep the ship steady, to kind of just like stay the course, being that they're not attacking. But I think he does like yell out like, "We're not here to hurt you. We're just looking to land," like as non-threatening as possible.
Okay. So I'm going to say that. Oh, that's an interesting question. Who would be at the helm? I think it's Ren. It's Ren at the helm because she had just got. This was like very shortly after the night shift crew from the previous night had woken up. So we'll say Ren is at the helm, and so you yell out to Ren to keep it steady. And as you head up to the front of the ship and yell this, go ahead and give me a persuasion check, please.
Okay. We're definitely gonna do that with advantage. That's a natural 20 for a 21. Let's get it. Let's get it.
How you feeling about DD Dice right now?
I mean, so far today, we're good. We'll see what next week brings, though. It's a week by week thing.
Hey, the night's not over. The night's not over. So that was using your advantage from Varl.
Raven.
That was how you got, or Raven. Yeah, whoever. Yeah, using one of your advantages.
Okay, so now I just have one more. Yep.
Amazing. So as you yell this out, Bryn, you can see its eyes. These crystalline blue orbs within its enormous head. Its head is the size of you, right? Like, it's big. You're fairly certain that if it wanted to, I mean, its mouth is the size of you, I mean. It could just fly down, scoop you up into its mouth, and swallow you like a snack. If it really wanted to. But you fight through that urge to flee this thing as you yell this out at the top of your lungs. Almost as if the storm was backing you up on this. A thunderous boom goes off after you finish speaking. And the dragon veers to the side. Just as it is about to land upon you and the front of your ship.
So is it riding next to us?
No, it just veered and is now doing that very, very large, like if you've seen in fighter jet movies and stuff when they do that sweep out to the side and that huge arc that they take. It's doing that huge arc. All of the rest of you can see it. You have a moment to talk to each other, to do something. Sisk, as it flies away and gets far enough distant, your frightened condition fades. You're still probably afraid, but the frightened condition anyway fades, and so you can also partake in anything here.
Just natural fear.
Yes, now it's normal everyday. Oh my god, it's a dragon fear, as opposed to.
Cool.
So you all have a few moments here. It is obviously flying its arc with an intent to return back to you, but it's a very large and arcing maneuver that it's making, seemingly purposefully. You're fairly certain, at least one person among you is fairly certain that if it wanted to, it could arc back very fast and, be in position to attack you all or something.
I think this is a dominance thing. I think we just need to stay the course and not threaten it at all, but also not react to its advances.
In the engine room, I'm yelling into the thing, being like, "Hey, what am I doing?" And I guess Ren's answering me.
Nah, I think I'd pick it up now too. Just keep it stable. That's it. Just keep it stable. And if there is a way to where we can boost the engine to where we go faster, have that ready.
Okay.
Yeah.
So as you head down into the engine room, Sisk, go ahead and give me a engineering check, a tinkering check, So for you, it's your intelligence plus your proficiency bonus.
Okie dokie.
That engineering degree coming into play now, sis. Let's go.
Yeah. Oh yeah. 10. But I wanted. Can I use my advantage? I think I have another one.
I think you have one left.
Yeah, I'll use the last one, please. Nat 20.
Hell yeah.
Oh yeah!
6.
Nice. Lots of nat 20s tonight, guys. That's awesome. As you get into the engine room, you immediately, your instincts start to take over. Like, you have slept in this place practically. And so
I mean, I definitely sleep on like a shelf sometimes. Like,
yeah. And so you know the engine room, and as soon as you walk in, you can feel something is off. As soon as you walk in, you can feel everything's operating. There is no danger of like imminent shutdown or anything like that. Nothing is overloading, but everything has crept. I'm assuming that was an accidental roll.
Yeah.
All of the gauges have crept up just a tiny bit. And hey, Cardman just tossed you a hail, so you have an advantage. All of the gauges have crept up just a little bit. All of them, universally. There's a tension in the engine room now. It's palpable, even for you who is not tuned into the emotions of things. You can feel it, and it isn't just you. It's almost like the ship is scared too. Back up on top. Are the rest of you doing anything in particular as you see this enormous dragon starting to make its turn and head back towards you?
I'm hitting it with the hold. I'm like, hold, like we're gonna see. I think this is just one of those animal things. Wow. Yeah, but yeah.
What do you got, Beth? I know you want to ask me something.
I do. Okay. So, next time... Oh, I don't think it would work. It's too fast.
On Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah. I was going to say, like, I would love to tap into 80's ability to read minds, but the creature has to be within 30 feet of us per the Detect Thought spell, but I would imagine it would move outside of that range very quickly.
Oh, it's well outside of it now. And
yeah, but like when it comes
sure.
back, but I doubt.
Give me an Arcana check.
I do have disadvantage on Arcana checks. Solid 4.
Well, it's 4 total, right?
Yes, 4 total.
Okay, you could prepare that ability, and then as soon as you feel like the creature is within range, you could do it.
With a roll like that, I feel very confident that it'll work.
You absolutely do.
Yeah, I'm gonna do it.
Okay.
I have to try.
What about you, Mira? Deb, is there anything in particular that Mira is doing in this moment of respite as this dragon is flying towards once again?
The Wizard Soul Prodigious Arcana gives me advantage on insight right now. So can I like do an insight check on the dragon and see if I can catch anything that might like help us deflect its attention or like let it know that we're not gonna bother it if we'll leave you alone if you leave us alone, kind of thing?
Give me an Arcana check first.
Okay. .26.
Okay. Go ahead and roll this insight check. I was going to have you roll it at disadvantage, but you succeeded at an Arcana check, which implies that you vastly succeeded, which means that you understand dragons in a way that perhaps the others do not.
Not great. 11.
Okay. In this particular instance, given the size of this thing, I think that Mira is perhaps a little bit taken aback. And I think that there is a part of Mira that understands, similarly to what 80 understood, that if it wanted to harm you, it definitely could have done so immediately. It appeared out of nothing. Like, the clouds are obviously its doing, the thunderstorm is obviously its doing, and it was right in front of you instantaneously. So if it really wanted to destroy you, you're fairly certain it could have. Beyond that,
I have no idea what it wants, or...
Yeah.
Okay.
As the dragon flies in, turning its form back towards you, you can see it's now flying towards the ship at its starboard side. There's tension among everyone. Dove in particular, you see running towards the arcane cannon at the front of the ship. And then the fear takes hold of him again. Sisk, you're thankful. You should be thankful that you're below decks, because otherwise the fear would still have you. And as Dove comes to a stop, now cowering at the front of the ship, the rest of you see this dragon hurtling towards you. Your responses range of fear and tension as it roars tremendously. 80, there's a part of you that thinks, uh-oh, this is it, and you're waiting for the spark of lightning to erupt from its mouth as well. But there is no spark from its mouth. Instead, you see the entire creature begin to glow brightly. It orients first around its neck, and then quickly evolves across its shoulders and wings and down its torso until finally enveloping its head as well. This bright, fluorescent, almost lightning bright white glow. You all have to kind of shield your eyes a little bit before, as it's flying towards you, and just before it is about to impact upon the ship, you brace. And then you see its body start to morph and change. And what was a dragon becomes a humanoid form. As it continues its flight, hurtling itself towards the deck of your ship, it lands upon the deck. You see a woman, you think, feminine presenting anyway, clad in scales, flowing cloak behind, its ornamentation upon its head, horns of various sizes, the obvious crystal at the center of its forehead, her forehead. Her eyes glowing with those same eyes that Bren saw relatively close up at the front of the ship. And at first, some of you think elven, but its skin is different. Its facial features, her facial features are different. She's not elven. She's draconic. And I think that Mira is probably the only one that would understand this. That she has changed her form purposefully to make it more palatable to you. But also perhaps there's some logistics around a gigantic dragon landing upon the deck of your ship and what damage that might cause. but she lands upon this ship with grace, her feet barely touching the wood of the deck before resting, her cape still billowing a bit to the side. The storm is still roiling around you. You can't see through it. The ship is still moving forward. The storm seems to be moving with it, but the lightning has stopped. She stands there and she looks around to each of you that is on deck until she sets her gaze upon Bren. And she begins speaking in a similar language to what Sisk has been trying to teach you with Etruscan. And I need for you to make an intelligence ability check, please.
Does it get advantage because I believe in him?
No. He can use one of his advantages from the guests that have been so generous tonight.
I got a 14.
Unfortunately, you pick out a few words. And
or you know what? I'm just gonna cut.
No, it's okay.
Oh,
it's okay. You pick out a few words, but there's an obvious look of confusion upon your face. And she stares at you. She seems to stop mid-sentence, and she stares at you. And then she looks you up and down, and she looks at the rest of you too. Mira, you, I think, have an opportunity. Well, actually, wait. I forget. Do any of you have counterspell?
Yep.
Okay, 2 counterspells. She begins to cast a spell, but she doesn't move her hands. It's only a verbal spell for her. You do have the ability to counterspell that. So you have to tell me now if you're going to counterspell it, but you could roll an Arcana check as part of that counterspell to know what she's casting. It's up to you.
I would like to do that.
Okay.
Oh, I was gonna say let it ride, but I'm also dangerous.
25 Arcana.
Yeah. She begins uttering an incantation that even with a language difference, the arcane language component to what she's uttering feels to you like a communication spell.
I will...
You hold up your hands as if to counter it, but then you let that magic, I'm assuming, fade.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I didn't. It's a lot in the throat. I haven't figured it out yet. You're just like looking around at everyone like, help. I can't.
As you say help, you hear her speak, and there's a certain magical quality to the speaking where you can kind of tell that she is speaking in her language. But now instead of Etruscan, she's actually speaking in kind of a draconic language, and the magic is translating that language into yours.
Oh, this is perfect. Hello. I'm sorry if we are intruding on your space, but we're just visiting, and we're actually very excited to visit. My name's Brent.
I would say well met, but I do not know you.
Of course. Sorry, and I'd like to establish that connection. So whatever it is that you'd like to know, this is 80. This is Mira. And this is Sisk. And then this is the rest of our crew, our crew family. We absolutely mean no harm to you or anyone that you protect or hold dear. We are just visitors.
Yes. You are coming to this land seeking refuge. My name is Ysterra, and I would like to meet the chosen of Imredal.
Oh. Here, speaking about our friend Violet. Unfortunately, they are not here with us. They chose to leave some time ago.
This is a good point to ask you, Beth. Did 80 do her magic? It was a readied action, but you still have to decide if you're going to follow through with it.
I think she would have in the panic of that moment.
Okay. You get no surface thoughts. You have no capability of reading her mind. Do you wish to try to penetrate and get into her mind deeply?
Now that we're all standing here,
Mm-hmm.
no, I would not. I feel like that's very invasive, and we are trying to be as neutral as possible. I also think that she would feel very surprised and intrigued and very distracted by all of the changing, and probably it wouldn't occur much to her to dig.
Saddens me greatly to know that I would not get to meet such a chosen. They are rare. They are impossible in many respects.
It's our Violet. Kind of hit the nail on the head on that one.
Regardless of her presence or not, I understand that you are seeking a place away from your home. I can smell the longing for something new upon you.
He's still kind of like looking at everybody like, if anybody wants to say anything, or I can keep this going.
I mean, we're, yeah, we left home. It wasn't exactly good for us there. And we've been excited to see the world, I guess. Learn new things.
You sail from the southwest aboard a miraculous piece of engineering and invention. The only land to the southwest that I know is not capable of this. And you see her reach
right.
down and her clawed fingers rather, kind of run along the wood of the ship, the railing. This is not from such lands.
No, you're right. And 80 will look to Mira.
Bryn is also looking to Mira in this moment when he sees Zaranthra like kind of take her claw across the ship.
The ship crashed in our land.
You are
And-
from this place known as the Imperium, then?
We are.
Tell me, and please know that I do not ask this to be intrusive. I ask because of my concern for my home. Do you flee your home because of danger? I know the Imperium to be a place of discontent.
It has become increasingly dangerous in the past few months. And hostile to us in particular. possess magic that they do not approve of.
There's no insight check required to see the momentary glimpse of disgust on her face as she recognizes the intent of what you say. She sighs heavily. I would like to say that you will not face such discontent in Kuvalia. But you should know that the lands of Kuvalia are, well, non-Kuvalians are no longer seen quite so openly as perhaps they once were decades ago. You were muted, Ian, if you said something. I saw your lips move.
How many decades?
This has been a rising sentiment now for roughly little less than 20 years, perhaps. But since the arrival of our newest emperor, it has come to perhaps more of a peak than at any point in history. People look upon others from outside of Kuvalia with distrust first, and then welcome second.
Well, so, as long as we are proper guests of Kuvalia, we shouldn't have an issue.
Well, there are many things that you could potentially cause issue with, but yes, you speak truth. The biggest concern that I have at this moment is knowing if you seek Kuvalia only because of where you come from, or if you seek Kuvalia for other reasons. Would you not be served by going perhaps southward, or even further east? Or if you had turned west away to the lands far across the sea? Why did you choose my Kuvalia?
I cannot speak for all of my companions, but I would like to learn from Kuvalia. I understand that this is a place of magic and wonder, and the reins the Imperium holds on the magic we are taught are tight. And I wish to learn more.
You come seeking knowledge of magic. You will find so much is unknown in these lands. There is also a great deal that is known. I believe what you say. Of course, though, I have my concerns, as all of my kind do in these times.
Mira wants to slowly pull out the Heart of Orlumis.
Okay.
And just sort of offer it like in her open palms for Zoranthra to see.
He looks upon it, and you can see that there is... Well, actually, give me an insight check. You don't have advantage. It would be normally at disadvantage against her, but so it's a straight roll. Wow, damn.
Natural 20 for 27.
Jesus Christ, you guys.
Welcome back.
New Year,
Yeah.
new rolls, I guess.
It's
New Year's
all
roll.
downhill from here.
You can tell right away that she is hiding a bit of her She's obviously to Mira anyway, impressed by the object. But you can tell very clearly that it isn't because of what it is as much as she's analyzing it. She's looking it over with her eyes with that kind of fascination that Mira has when she's reading a scroll of arcana or looking at an object of artifice. That's the eyes that she has. She doesn't have the eyes of someone that is enamored with the divine aura of it. But you can also tell that she can see every ounce of magic within it. And as she looks it over, you see a slow smile creep to her face. And then she says to you, "Not of Imredel, but noteworthy. And I approve. Your words and your meaning, they are heard. And will always be respected by at least my peoples. Although I am hesitant to say whether you will ever meet one of mine ever again."
I don't feel like there's an easy way to ask this. And your people are...
And you can see her skin slowly start to change and become the blue scales of her draconic form before, disappearing back. My kind.
Understood. I'd like to create a link between her and I.
Do you say anything before you do? Or do you just try to do it?
No, I give heed. Like, I would, I'd like to show you something, but it would be easier if I could show it to you in my mind's eye. Is it okay if I can do that?
You possess such abilities to touch and connect minds.
Yes.
There's a moment where she actually recoils a little bit from you. And she says, "I cannot allow you to connect with my mind. And you should be careful. Should your feet reach Kuvalian shores, and people learn of such an ability as that, no one will trust you. It is too ingrained in our people that our minds are our fortresses and are not ever to be shown to others. While I respect that you are not of the peoples of Kuvalia and you do not hold such things dear, you should be cautious of that. Can you not just tell me?
Yes, I can. 80? Give me a moment so I can put it together so I can verbalize it to you. Yeah.
You can see there's a moment of she almost is pained at saying these words as she looks down and she kind of tilts her head to the side. If you would allow me to read your thoughts, I can do that, but you should know that such magic is vile to me.
No. I'm not. No, if it's against your customs and your comfortability, then that is not something we are going to do. I just wanted to kind of convey to you, and I tell her about the tree and the dragon egg and about Star and what we did and all of those things. Like, I convey that to them as clearly as I possibly can, and then I finish it with, these are your people, correct?
Give me a persuasion check.
here we go. I'll take it. 18. Okay, DD dice.
Do you remember the name of the dragon?
Okay. The Great Stone Dragon. No, it wasn't that. I don't because I'm not a note taker. I trust those to the smart people of the group.
Does anyone remember?
Raven, help!
I can get there. Hold on.
Does anyone
Where are my
remember the
notes?
name of the diamond dragon?
I can get
Save
there.
us, Deb.
Hold on.
I'm surprised
rap-
Kay
we
isn't
wrote a
just
song
like
for
spouting it right off the top of his tongue.
Yeah, that's what I said. I'm not the note taker.
I'm not the
freaking out.
dragon person. I don't know.
They were only there when Sisk was resurrected. I mean, why would you write that down or not?
That dragon.
Yes,
I thought
that
it was another
dragon.
dragon.
Oh God. Prismaric.
That is correct.
Woo!
You're welcome, all you hangers on.
Oh, thank you. Sorry, I didn't know. I thought the woo was okay. My bad.
So Ian, as you regale this story and talk about this and mention Star and the younger gem dragons that you didn't get names of, and then you mention the name Prismaric and the diamond scales that they possessed, you see a moment of fascination. I mean, she's fascinated through all of it, but when you say Prismaric in particular, her eyes widen a bit. And she looks at you and she says, Prismaric has returned.
Come again? Returned?
Yes.
Yes, they have. I'm want to gauge their reaction. Is this a surprise anger or a surprise joy?
Surprise joy. They're not
Okay.
masking. They're not
Yes.
masking that. It's surprise joy.
Yes, we help protect them while the hatching process took place. That's what I wanted to show you here.
That would almost be worth the delving of a mind to witness such that. But I cannot.
It's fine.
I know you are willing. It's just that
You're good. No, boundaries were set, and
yes.
we have no intent.
Yes. She looks directly at Mira and she says, "You wish to learn. What you witnessed was not a hatching. It was rebirth. You see, our kind, we do not die in the same ways as the mortal races. While our bodies perish, at some point our souls return to a new form. And Prismaric was one of the greatest of our kind in millennia past. Prismaric was there when the giants and dragons stopped decimating the world with their war. Prismaric was the first chosen of Vimerdea. And if Prismaric has returned, then maybe there is hope to be had.
Mira bows fairly low and says, "We are honored to have been able to provide what we could to help this rebirth take place.
Then I will be honored to help you. For such tales as this can never be fable. Such tales as this can only be true. And I'm very good at knowing when people are speaking true and not. So I believe you. Go ahead, Beth.
Actually, that does bring up a point that I wanted to address. So you talked about reaching into others' minds and how that's a hard no. Wonderful, respect that. I can feel people's emotions.
Yes,
like
I know.
all the time.
You have been trying ever since we met. I assume that this is something that you do unconsciously.
Yeah, I mean, I can push
Which is fine.
a little bit.
Do not
Okay.
push. Pushing will be wrong.
Okay.
But the emotions of others are understandable. Emotions are prized in Kuvalia. Emotions are what guide the people of Kuvalia. That is part of the reason that I think the Kuvalian peoples have reacted so strongly the way that they have with the new emperor. But we prize our emotions, not just for ourselves, but for each other. So your gifts of magic that grant you this ability to sense the emotions of others is noteworthy. Perhaps nothing like I have seen before.
Really?
I'm fascinated to know that you do it so freely.
It's just kind of been something that I can do for 10 years or so, maybe
Without
longer.
effort?
Yeah.
That must be quite a burden.
Yes.
Particularly
it can be.
from a place such as the Imperium.
Yeah. And, you know, having to hide that and
Yes.
magic and all.
So not worry.
It was beautiful too.
I'm sure. I think that you will find that you will gain a more rapid understanding of Kuvalia than your companions, and they will rely upon you for that.
Oh. Okay. Yeah.
I would only caution that you avoid delving too deeply.
Absolutely. We really want to be respectful of customs and culture, and I certainly don't want to cause any problems or show disrespect.
When we speak again, I'm sure we will have much to discuss.
Before you leave, sorry, you keep mentioning the Emperor and how their position of power has made certain things worse. Who are they? What are they doing?
Our peoples just finished fighting one another in a great civil war. We are 2 years hence the final conflict. And although there are some peoples in the Middle Lands far removed from the rest of the country, the harshest of regions, those peoples might still cling to what brought about the war. Everyone else has united under the Emperor. I do not wish to color further my Kuvalia for you. I will tell you this. When the Emperor assumed his throne, he did so after a great conflict, an attack upon him that rendered him scarred horrifically. And it was a dragon that did it. The peoples of Kuvalia have long revered the dragonkind, but no more. They have rallied around their emperor. Many will say as they should. Few will question. I will be curious the next time we speak what your insight is into such things, given where you come from and how hard a grip your own rulers have had on your country's history. I will be very interested to know what you think of Kuvalia's circumstance. So I will not say more until we speak again on that subject.
Thank you. We appreciate the conversation.
Have you considered your plans for arrival in Kuvalia and what you wish to do upon such? Or are you merely sailing into the unknown with only hope in your wind?
Sisk was here a number of decades ago, and so we are using a bit of their knowledge of Kuvalia as it was, but much of our hopes have been to arrive and find our way as easily as we can.
How... You will not be able to arrive unnoticed. This vessel may not be the first airship to have ever crossed Kuvalian skies, but it has sparked some things in our country. When you arrive, do you wish to arrive in a place with fewer people,